Thank you for gathering here tonight for this occasion, as we come together to honour and remember those who are no longer with us on this Trans Day of Remembrance. Tonight we stand united in solidarity, not just as individuals, but as a community, bound by shared experiences, struggles and triumphs. London, our vibrant and postmodern city, has long been a symbol of acceptance and inclusivity. However, even in the midst of this progressive metropolis, we are reminded that the fight for equality is ongoing and that the trans community still face significant challenges. It is essential that we continue to advocate for policies that protect the rights of trans people and challenge the systematic barriers that we face. By amplifying our voices, we can create a society where diversity is embraced and everyone can live authentically. And in our community, unity is our strength. It is through standing together, shoulder to shoulder, that we find resilience to adversity. Trans people are our friends, family, colleagues, and neighbours. It is our shared responsibility to create an environment where everyone can be accepted and celebrated. So as we stand here, we reflect on those we have lost, the battles we have fought, and the progress we have made. Each name we remember tonight is a story, a journey that deserves to be acknowledged and celebrated. Tonight, let us remember that this vigil is not just about mourning, but is also about celebrating the strength of our community. It is about coming together to forge a path towards a transformative and compassionate society. As we light candles in memory, let the flames symbolise the enduring spirit of those we see around us and all in our community. And again, thank you for joining us together in this moment of reflection, unity, and remembrance. We have 3 open mic speaking slots available this evening, and all of them are about 4 minutes each. If you would like to speak, please wait by the side of the marquee, and we will organise a spot for you. And I'll now introduce Danny St. James, the Chief Executive of Not a Phase, to say a few words before we begin our speakers section. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Thank you all for attending tonight. It's an honour for us to be hosting the vigils around the country again this year, mourning collectively regardless of our location. At the start of the year, the world learned of the tragic loss of Brianna Ghey. Since then, we've remained in touch with her mum Esther, who sadly cannot attend tonight due to the ongoing court case. In her absence, she has asked me to read the speech that she had planned for this evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Esther Ghey. My daughter is Brianna Ghey, who was murdered in February of this year. Before I speak, I would first like to thank everyone involved for organising this event and to give my thanks to Not a Phase for inviting me here today. I wish that I had the strength to spend it with all of you. I'd also like to say that as the trial is impending, that there should be no speculation regarding the crime that was inflicted on my daughter, as this may hinder the proceedings. I want to start by letting you all know how much it meant to me to see the rally of support for Brianna after her death, to see all of the vigils taking place, not only across the UK, but around the world. It was truly comforting and helped us so much during the most horrendous time of our lives. To know that people cared and were mourning the loss of my beautiful daughter with me gave me the strength to carry on. So thank you to you all from the bottom of my heart. Today we are here to remember those that we have lost. When I think of Brianna, I remember her as a force of nature. She was outgoing, confident, and not afraid to be herself. She would light up the room with her humour. She would annoy her sister. She would play on Minecraft, and she would give me back chat. She was a normal teenager choosing to identify in the way that she felt comfortable. Hearing about how the people she helped through her life makes me extremely proud, especially considering that she had mental health struggles of her own. As her mother, I only ever wanted Brianna to be happy. I supported her when she came out as trans, However, I had concerns that life would be more difficult for her because she might have to face prejudice and hatred. This shouldn't have ever entered my mind, because we should live in a world where everyone is free to be who they are, unapologetically, without worry or fear. Due to my experience, both with Brianna's mental health struggles and the online trolling after Brianna's death, I am now campaigning to get mindfulness practice taught in schools. I believe that if we teach children and young people mindfulness, this will not only improve their mental health, but will also improve our society for future generations. It's my goal to help create a society based on empathy and understanding, a society where everyone feels safe, loved, and wanted. Thank you.
So I would now like to introduce Stephanie Fuller from Switchboard.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Fuller, pronoun she, her, and I'm the Chief Executive of Switchboard, and it's my honour to speak to you all this evening. I wanted to start actually with a quick dedication to a trans woman I knew around 20 years ago, and I met her actually very late in her life. She transitioned about 10 years after she'd retired, and she was going to live her life to the full, and she really did. And then she died suddenly, and it really impacted me. But then I thought, well, at least she lived her truth in the end, and that's really powerful. It was only later I found out that that's not how she was buried. Her family erased her trans history and buried her in a previous identity. And I always promised her that if I ever had a platform like this, that I would use it to remember her. So for Grace, this is for you tonight. I'm thinking of you. Talking about Switchboard itself, it's the National LGBTQ+ helpline. It's open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 365 days a year, and it's here for you. It's here for anybody at any point in their journey, no matter where they are in the UK. And we've been doing this for 49 years, supporting our community. And it's an incredibly privileged organisation to work for and to lead. And we learn so much about our communities through this service. And in the last year, we've handled over 3,200 conversations from trans service users that have reached out to Switchboard on a variety of topics, from NHS wait times to name change documents to family rejection. Very little of it is good news, I'm afraid. And these are the calls that we're handling on a regular basis, and they are increasing, I regret to say. The contacts to Switchboard also tell us about what's going on in our community. And when the very sad news of Brianna Ghey reached us all, I didn't book that. When the very sad news of Brianna Ghey reached us all, the day that news broke, 40% of the calls that came into Switchboard that day were specifically about Brianna Ghey. People wanted to talk about her and how they felt. And we know that the events in the world impact the calls to Switchboard. So similarly, when the recent party conference season took place, we saw a huge spike in calls to Switchboard from trans and non-binary service users expressing concern and fear of their place in this country, a place they'd never questioned that perhaps in quite the same way before, and now they were. And it wasn't just coming from trans people, it was coming from their families, including their parents, worried about the future and what lays in store for them. But if there's one thing I will say with Switchboard that I've learnt from this community, is it is strong. It is really strong. And this 49 years has tested the full span of the LGBTQ+ community, through the dark times of the 80s and 90s, through HIV/AIDS, through Section 28. This community has always emerged stronger, often providing its own light against the darkness. Tonight I reflect as I look around, and there are so many people here. This would be unimaginable 10 years ago, that this many people would come to a vigil for trans people, that this many people would go to London Trans Pride or Brighton Trans Pride. We have support and we have solidarity, and it is growing. We're now in a tunnel that is not of our own making, so we have to be our own light again once more. But I feel very confident that this difficult time will pass, and our light will definitely shine on. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Stephanie. If I could please welcome Kate Litman onto the stage.
Hi everyone. I'm here to talk about my sister, Alice, who died by suicide last year at the age of 20. Over the last year, my family have been campaigning to highlight the political conditions of Alice's death, the stifling atmosphere of transphobia in the UK, and the inaccessibility of trans healthcare. We have experienced overwhelming love and support from the trans community. We have also been subjected to a vile and vicious backlash. Transphobes mock Alice's death. They constantly misgender her. They tell my mum that it's her fault Alice died. They accuse us of weaponising Alice's death for our own ends. Weaponise is an interesting word. I'm reminded of the words of David Wojnarowicz, an artist and AIDS activist who died from AIDS-related illnesses in 1992. Writing about his realisation that the state didn't care if gay men lived or died, he said, "Realising that I have nothing left to lose in my actions, I let my hands become weapons, my teeth become weapons, every bone and muscle and fibre and ounce of blood become weapons, and I feel prepared for the rest of my life." I'm not ashamed to turn Alice's death into a weapon. I'm not ashamed to turn the weapon of my grief against the parliamentarians and transphobic campaigners who work tirelessly to make trans lives harder to live. Each of them should know Alice's name, and it is them who should bear the shame of her death. Sometimes, though, in the campaigning, I feel that I am losing sight of Alice. I worry that all this work is a distraction from the unbearable pain of losing her, and from the fact that no amount of campaigning will bring her back. I'm often asked to share my memories of Alice, and I'll attempt to do so now. I knew Alice for her whole life. I was 5 when she was born, and I thought she was just the best thing ever. In photos taken during the first years of her life, I'm often protectively holding on to her head. As she grew up, I would make up bedtime stories for her about the two of us travelling through time and getting into trouble. During one story, she laughed so hard she actually pooped herself. But she wasn't embarrassed, we just laughed and laughed about it. As a family, we shared a strong sense of humour, and my best memories are of evenings spent playing card games around the kitchen table. Once playing a game with Alice and my mum, we had to compete to find the funniest answer to the question, if Alice was a dinosaur, she would be... All three of us put Tyrannosaurus Rex. We thought it was hilarious. Soon after Alice came out, she asked me to help her dye her hair. It felt like the kind of thing that sisters were supposed to do together. I'd spent my childhood wishing for a sister, and now I had one. Gently combing her hair, sectioning it and coating it with bleach was a really special kind of intimacy. I miss her physical presence so much. I want to hug her and tell her how much I love her. I want to hear her laugh. The truth is that these memories are pale reflections of the vibrant, complex, beautiful person that Alice was. I don't know how to share her with you. I wish that she was here so you could meet her, so I didn't have to give speeches in her memory. I believe that Alice tried really hard to live. In the days before she died, she booked a tattoo appointment, made voice therapy sessions, bought herself a new journal to fill. I believe that she had plans for her life, and hope. I'm so desperately sad that in the end, she didn't feel this world was one she could continue to live in. I want us to build the world that Alice should have lived in. A world where trans people do not face threats to their safety, their autonomy, and their happiness. So let us turn our grief into a weapon, into the tools we need for making new worlds. Let us prepare for the rest of our lives, and let them be long and happy. Thank you.
For nearly as long as I can remember, I have dreamed of death and its promise of peace. Like many of you, my body, my life, are a feverish dream of alien terrain from which I desperately want to wake. I cannot leave this life of my own volition, though, because, as unlikely as it seems, I'm one of the fortunate, one of the blessed. I am one of the lucky ones afforded the privilege of getting to grow up at all. In this life, I am shadowed everywhere I go by a morbid anxiety that nothing I am, nothing I have done or have been will have mattered at all until the moment that my life is cut short. Joyous, serene, proud, or bland, we live so much of it beneath a lingering pall of dread, wondering, what if there is no if for someone like me, only when? When will it be my turn? Will I be next? Will anyone mourn me or call me my name when I am gone? Will anyone remember my fight? In an ongoing battle on nearly every shore for the rights of trans people to be seen as necessary and human, years of life, so precious and so mundane, are still too often a privilege that many of us cannot afford. I feel in many ways unqualified to speak on Remembrance. Here I stand before you, still breathing, adequately clothed, fed, housed, unharmed. I have not felt the true pain of losing someone close and dear to me as my own skin, a child, a sister, a brother, a lover, and yet my line of work in this community organizing around trans lives is orbited by two twin moons. One, joy, life, and freedom. The other, loss, sorrow, and death. It is taxing, yes, to hold space for such a breadth of fierce emotion, but it is necessary. If we don't pay tribute to our loved and our lost, who will? Who else will call us our names at our gravesides? Who else will remember us for the people that we were, and not solely for what we represented? Who else will keep the long list of our dead to remind the rest of the world that we were here for however short or however long a time, and that we mattered, and that we continue to matter? We are tasked with being the keepers of our lost siblings, and this is a role that I treat with honor and care. My own life means little to me, but you, all of you, and your beautiful lives, and your dreams, and your hopes, and your futures. You are my everything. I fear, though, for all of my siblings still here who feel that to be remembered in this way is somehow nobler than fighting with everything we have to stay in this world that seems not to love us. How can we find ways to hold out our arms for them while they are alive and breathing? How do we show them that we don't only love and support them when they are no longer with us? I don't know how to end this, or what to say other than hold one another, please, while you are still here. Create the world that you dream of living in as a microcosm for you and the people you surround yourself with. Make it real now while you can, as any of us could be lost at any time, whether by our own choice or those of others who fear and despise us. Make a life here that is yours and that cannot be forgotten and cannot be erased by the veil of death. Carve it into the atomic tapestry of the universe that surrounds us. Live with the full force of your being and speak loudly for those who can't. Thank you.
Thanks, Ren. Now welcoming Adam Khan to the stage.
Hey, hello everyone. I'm Adam. I use they them pronouns and I'm a social activist. Every year for Transgender Remembrance I create a creative piece and I'm honoured to be able to share that on this year's edition today with a poem called Burdened Yet Dignified. Trigger warnings, it's a trans day of remembrance or murder and suicide, and there is swearing in it as well, but I'm not apologising for that because it helps. Also, I have sensory issues, so I will wait until this character Some rolls on, boy. We've all got to make a living somehow. Okay. Here's to another year, where we shed even more tears. A weight we all now have burdened. 320 trans and gender diverse people murdered. 94% were trans women or femme. Yet you tell me that trans misogyny is condemned. 80% were black, brown or racialised. Yet you tell me racism has subsided. Closer to home, we all remember Brianna J, whose life is remembered, dignified. But after the dozens of vigils held, how many of our promises have been upheld? The diabolical government denies we exist, and they wonder why we get pissed. The distorted media paints us as predators. Who the fuck are these editors? Tortuous turfs and sectarian swerves, twisting narratives, not understanding that feminism is collaborative, and fucking fascists trying to rally on our streets, so we take action to make their bitterness cease. With all of this BS, no wonder the mental health of so many in our community is a mess. As we remember trans kids' lives, like Corey Hall's, amplified, only 14 when he completed suicide. The planet and the UK is burning. It's on fire for us. There is no more time to discuss. We, the trans community, need to adapt and act. Otherwise we'll be trapped. We need to look inwards and ask those difficult questions, because everything is connected through our intersections. Racial justice and climate justice, traveller justice and indigenous justice, women's justice and disability justice, refugee justice and trans justice. We are all marginalisations, and all marginalisations are trans. Upstanding allies need to change the tide, as so many of our community have already tried and died. We need to come together to win this liberation, because right now, trauma, violence and death is the situation. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. May I please now introduce Eff Taylor.
Hello everybody. Eff Taylor, she, they, she, whatever you want. Okay. There's a trigger warning for mentions of psychiatry, suicide and police violence, so if you don't want to listen to that or can't succumb to hearing it, please make your way outside or put some headphones in. This is dedicated to Xavier, to Arjun, to Jake, to Sadie, my dear queer friends that died in the place we tried surviving within for those teenage years. It's been a long while since I've hugged you all, and in this hard-hitting reality I have to face every morning, I'd love to see you in an hour or tomorrow if I could. I cry often in reflection of the beauty and bliss you instilled into my heart, and the words you left me with will keep carving my path of an uncertain future forever. The journey of life that feels so uneasy for most people, like me and you at the best of times. One that unfortunately, especially right now, isn't promised either. I miss them so much. I miss the warmth of a friend you felt like you were going to have forever. This pain does translate into the deepest empathy one can find on planet Earth. Losing a trans person is a total alien, outer-worldly experience. It's not the normal prescribed grief when you're having to lose someone who is not just committed to being here, but committed to keeping others afloat in such a delicate, thought-through way that screamed across time and space, let me be with you, and how great it is to be us, how great it is that we're trans, and how beautiful it is. And when you lose someone whose reason for no longer being here was simply the pursuit of being, a sense of being to be lived without the goal of perfection or capitalist creation, but the sense of being enriched. We dance together, drink tea in one of your cosy rooms, swear at queerphobic bastards on the bus together, or embrace each other in the shop aisle, aching with tears in London after learning we'd just lost another friend so close to their damn birthday. The risk of violence and deep fear of what if, due to what has happened to many of us, their souls naturally transcended to seek peace and freedom, yet society prescribes this attempt at being free as a devastating destination we shall not foster as an understandable ending, or I quote, what usually happens with the given circumstances. We shall be angry and we shall resist the idea that this is just meant to happen. Those that you are thinking of right now, each one of you, in the crowd and those stood around me, that person, or most unfortunate circumstances, those people we know to no longer be witness to the physical world, but are forever in our hearts, within the ways we speak and what we do, clouds, water, earth, and air all around us. See them and feel them. It's them reminding you to keep going, hugging you, cherishing you. You're a blessing here and love to still remain. I remember this day and the feeling last year very well. I happened to meet the love of my life, Olive, who's just the sweetest part ever. Right here last year, my life began to transform. I didn't know how to process this feeling as a trans person, a fat, queer, trans person. To feel loved is a very odd feeling. This forward-bound connection is so odd. And I'm reminded every day since last year why I should keep sticking around because of them. I'm truly thankful. The second reason to why I remember being here so well last year specifically is the feeling of love amongst us. The understanding that whether we're here within the square or exchanging smiles to each other on the streets, that we shall keep declaring and reminding the world we deserve. Our queer odd footprints pressed upon them, engraved into this very city we breathe, and we shall keep marching upon. We are here, we will keep being here, and we truly always have been here. And the third reason is people who are not trans are not doing enough. Cis people are not doing enough. Gay people are not doing enough. Us trans people are being persecuted, baited by the media, encouraged by the state to take the leap of not faith but fear into the dark. This is a call to help and a call to the emergency and crisis we are facing. And to be honest, I wrote this speech today, as in like a few hours ago, and it's not one of those beautiful articulate pieces, but I don't have to be good at speaking about my friends that are dead and begging the world and queer ancestors that those around me hold on for dear life just to make it till tomorrow morning. None of us here are meant to be okay or to feel like this is normal. And a few important notes before I do go and finish. The government is purpose-built for oppression, neither the Tories, and don't convince yourself that Labour will be any different, my loves, will ever have your best interests at heart, unless you're rich, a white supremacist, fascist, or privileged, small kind of world person that doesn't want to interfere in politics. All cops are bastards all day and every day. Thank God they're not fucking here today. Police are not our protectors. We protect one another. They exist as a product of the slave trade, and since the beginning of operation in this country have savaged any hints to a working class uprising, and continuously to this day actively engaged in this day and age in this city to make it less safe for racialized communities and people of colour. There is no good cop, there's no bad apple, down with them all. Another point is psych-abolition. We shall not filter our madness and moments through this lens and brain sieve of old cis white men from the early 1900s who believed people of colour were innately violent. Fuck eugenics, burn the idea that psychology-based knowledge encouraged by eugenics and racism can define nearly 8 billion people's thinking to less than a few hundred behavioural patterns and shit studies. No one needs sectioning. It's one of the most violent forms of incarceration. End all incarceration. Often people think mental health care needs more funding or better staff that don't sleep on units. In reality, these human beings who are friends and family need a home, not a unit, and community care. A shout out as well, this one especially, to all the trans organised youth and kids. You're absolutely the future. You're loved, you're powerful. I've seen some of you do some fucking crazy shit on demos that me doing this for 15 years haven't seen before. Fuck everyone that believes their kids don't know what they're doing or are just being misled or misheard. They are just more aware of what happiness means to them. Trans children are not new, they are not trend. I love them so much, we love them so much. And the bracelets I have on my left wrist were made from a trans youth I've met a few times at demos, and this year at Trans Pride they gifted me those. They made them on the train to the demo. One is patterned to be the trans flag, and the other one has letters that spell out on it. This is a 14-year-old trans kid that spell out bash the fash. And on that note, we will continue to bash the fash, bring hellfire and fury upon anyone that believes we shall not have the right and dignity to exist within any space, and understand that if you touch one of us, you are touching us all. We have one another. We will fight off those who try and disrupt us. Best believe. Love wins, but being a transsexual menace always feels right too. Keep being fucked off, Don't stay silent, don't be afraid in your dressing. You're being testament to the biggest trans revolution in history. We have people across the globe that would welcome you into their homes with open arms. To be trans is constantly redefining the definition of a home we are gifted to find within ourselves. Stay warm, and I love you.
Thank you for sharing, Eff. If I could please now welcome Jessica, Joe Paul and friends.
Hello, my name is Jessica. Thank you. Corey, our brother, has always been an entertainer. He always managed to put a smile on your face, and he was full of love for anyone he met. At the young age of just 14, he sadly took his own life on the 12th of October this year. One of the factors leading to this was the transphobic bullying and harassment he received online and in person. I don't understand how people can be so mean to a child just for being themselves. One of the things he wrote in his last letter was, "You are all precious humans and deserve to be loved. Don't let anything or anyone, don't take anything or anyone for granted. Don't throw your life away. Be thankful for your family and friends." He also said, "Protect trans youth in my name." This shows how kind and caring he was. He didn't deserve to go through what he did. Corey, you will always forever be missed and forever be loved. Rest in pride, my brother.
Since Corey was like 8 years old, he had always wanted to be a doctor.
Woo!
And he went to, more specifically, he wanted to be a pediatric doctor in the mental health unit. He went into all types of groups and stuff in primary school to explore medical training and first aid and stuff like that. He spent his free time hanging out with his best friends, and he loved animals and Harry Potter and Doctor Who. I forgot what I was going to say. He shouted and screamed until his voice was heard, and he would never ever shut up about mental health and trans youth. He would go round to every single thing he could, every youth group, every pride event, everything. He would go around and say everything he could. I keep forgetting what I'm going to say. He came out when he was, he came out to me when he was 9, and then he came out to the family when he was 10. And everyone supported him straight away. We all helped him transition. He got his first haircut when he was, I think he was 10 and a half. And he went to school in year 6, in 2020 in year 6 when he, when everyone met up to sign everyone's shirt during COVID, he came in and he introduced himself as Corey, and everyone was supportive of him, and he kept in contact with a bunch of his friends from primary school for ages, and he was and still is so loved, and all I can say is thank you to everyone who has known him or has heard of him after he passed. The love and support that we've all received from online is amazing. And then
We will be holding our own memorial service for Corey on the 30th of November. If you would like to come to pay your respects in person or online, please come and speak to me as we can accommodate that. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for your support.
Thank you so much to all of our organised speakers this evening. We're now moving on to our open mic section, and I would be delighted to introduce our first open mic speaker, Izém.
I wanted to talk about Ghey, Lou Patton Walker. Some of you may have only heard of Ghey through Sex Education at episode 5, the latest season. And I remember getting a message from, we have a group chat of our friends together, and someone was like, just a heads up, without spoilers, but there's going to be a mention of Ghey. And when I watched the episode, I'm not going to lie, I don't usually cry, but I bawled my eyes out. And coming here today, I've just been thinking about everything, all the past memories, but and I've been trying to think about what to say properly. But all I can really do is one thing we used to do is say comforting words or sing a song to each other if on our bad days. So I'm just gonna sing the song that I used to sing to Ghey. And yeah, and this goes to all of you here, as a reminder that you're not alone and that your community will always be here for you. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I can offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there's no one there to dry your tears, I will hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. Sorry, give me a second. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, I will never do you wrong. Sorry, my brain has just gone completely blank with the lyrics. I apologise. I've known it from the moment that we met. I will never do you wrong. I go hungry, I go black and blue. I go crawling down that avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. To make you feel my love. Te quiero, hermanito.
Thank you, Izém. We have 2 more slots, by the way, if anyone would like to speak. Just please let us know as soon as you can. But I'd love to introduce our next speaker, Aus.
Hi, whoa, loud. I haven't got something pre-prepared, I've got a poem, and I want to talk very quickly about my friend I lost this year, Gwen. Gwen was not a victim of hate crime, she didn't commit suicide, she died of leukemia. She was 18 years old, and she taught me more about gender expression than anyone else in my whole life. She put the it pronoun on the end of my sheet, it, and she fought leukemia for 2 years, and through all of it, through every appointment, she was misgendered. It was misgendered. And you don't know just how deep the cruelty is until you have a 17-year-old messaging you, telling you that they're being misgendered 3 days before they're going to die. That's what today is for me. It's the first time I've come to a Trans Day of Remembrance with someone to personally remember. And it's shocking that there's so many levels to the hatred and the ignorance, and we all just have to get on with it. It was buried as in its birth gender. She's buried under a dead name. It's disgusting. It's how many more times are we going to have to do this? Why are the numbers so high? It's infeasible to me that I was at work before this and I said to someone, I'm going to Trans Day of Remembrance later, and they were like, oh, that's a thing? Yeah, it is a thing. Because we're being murdered, directly and indirectly. My responsibility, all of our responsibility, is to build a world now where things like what happened to Gwen, where things like what happened to Brianna and Alice and everybody else that we're here to remember today never happen again. Because we shouldn't have to be here. We should be home with our loved ones. It's cold. I've got a poem, and then I'm going to hand my mic over to Alice. What good are my words in practice to flimsily describe the feeling that I have shared 50 the heart with these, the unloved children, self-made soldiers, and cosmic wonders in far less time than any other congregation? How now do I expect to ever live again, now I have tasted on my tongue the sweetness of the words I find myself saying within the company of such souls? My tongue grows incapable of spitting the venom I once relied on, lest for their defense they will not need it. They are space Valkyrie, marked by scar and laser burn, each touched by the very hand of that beyond, each a chosen one, forcing out personal poisons to remake themselves within their own God image, meditative in their processes. The words I say to them seem alien to any other. Every soul that I have met, head raised above the bloody parapet, is bathed not in fire but pure light, shining lights that guide the path. And how can it be so effortless in a world I thought so dark? For all these fireflies, these lantern people, these stardust configurations to glow so bright and warm that I feel all those years of ice start to turn to boiling water, to generate a storm, a great wave of static and haze and pulsating light. And now with the once missing secret of what my heart is beating for inside my cage-like chest, I push ever onward, hold fast the open door, come in, send your wayward, bring your sick, your broken, the scarred and scared. No more apostates, get up from your knees. There is no one in this vast and brutal world that deserves to see you kneel except your lover. One day when we are all gone, reduced to atoms to begin again, I hope just a single one from each of us will float out to space together, rejoin the stars, eternal. For every atom of my being knows, while lacking memory of its own, written on each tiny speck, that we are what they grow beyond. Thank you.
Hiya, my name is Alice Violet. You might know me as AVG DJ or Catty Cats, whatever it is. I also didn't prepare anything while coming up here. I just want to say that I've been to too many memorials, to too many funerals of my sisters, of my brothers, of my siblings. I've cried too many tears, and they're salty as fuck. I hope that they burn into the ground and then nothing will be able to ever get to grow from it again. Because that's how I feel every time that I have to stand up and speak publicly about the cruelty that our community has to suffer from. For what? For what? We don't deserve this, we deserve better. We deserve so much more, we deserve to live. And not only to live, but to thrive. So, when you go home tonight, like, remember the dead and keep fighting for the living, because we are here, existing, living, trying to thrive, like every other single human being on this godforsaken fucking planet. I'm so tired of giving speeches that feel like empty words to crowds that just want to be at home, safe and sound, and warm, feeling the love of the loved ones on their skin. Not the like cold, bitter tears that come out of our fucking eyes. I can't even cry anymore. I don't have any tears left to cry. So that's it.
Thank you to all our speakers. It was beautiful to hear your thoughts, feelings, writings, poems and songs. We're now going to be hosting a 2-minute silence, so if you haven't already, please collect a candle from towards the entrance at the back and light it. I'll give everyone a couple of seconds to do that if you need to. Okay, I think everyone's pretty much sorted now. Okay. Okay, let's begin our silence. Thank you. I would now like to welcome Jaz Terry to perform a song for us.
Imagine all the people living to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Oh, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. Oh, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Making sure that's the right microphone. Yes, it is. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on this Trans Day of Remembrance. We hope that you've had opportunity to be around your community and share your feelings and your thoughts with each other. We'll be hanging around for a little bit more time. We've got this space until 8:30, so if you'd like to share and talk to your community, come and talk to us, then please feel more than welcome. Other than that, thank you so much for being here, and we hope that you get home all safe and warm. Thank you.